Multiplayer racing games have been and always will be a very popular genre. Mario Kart, Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, all very popular titles, and Mario Kart alone makes up a good chunk of the top 20 games of all time. But there's one series that's been lost to time, and in my opinion is the most underrated racing game of all time. Sonic Riders has the most personality I have ever seen out of a racing game. The character redesigns, the new characters, the boards, the music, it all screams early 2000s idea of the future, and I love it so much. I didn't think giving Sonic a pair of sunglasses and a hoverboard would make him cooler, but it absolutely did. I love his design in this game. It really helps it stand out as its own in the sea of Mario Kart clones. Normally with a game like Mario Kart, its main focus and pretty much only focus is the multiplayer. The most fun you could possibly have with a game like Mario Kart is with a group of people. Single player wise, it leaves a lot to be desired. Usually it's just racing against CPUs, you might unlock a couple carts, but really it's just going to sit on the shelf until your friends come over again. But not Sonic Riders. It has a pretty unique and challenging story mode that you do not see in a lot of multiplayer games, and it's a really nice change of pace for someone who's playing on their own. It's got the classic good guy versus bad guy storylines like the normal adventure games had, and it's nothing special, it's just Eggman's up to no good and we have to stop him, but it really does add a lot to the whole single player experience. Sonic Riders did a lot of new and exciting things to mix up and change the formula of the typical racer to make it way more competitive. To compare, I'm going to put it up against the biggest racer at the time, Mario Kart Double Dash. For character stats in Mario Kart Double Dash, you can loop them into one of three tiers: lightweights, middleweights, and heavyweights. The lightweight characters have the best acceleration, they don't lose as much speed when they go off the turf, but as a trade-off they have the lowest top speeds. Medium weights have okay acceleration, okay top speeds, but they aren't knocked around by the lightweights. Heavyweights push around every other class with ease, they have the best top speed, but they have the lowest acceleration. All weight classes will interact with the carts the same. Let's say Toad and King Boo pick the Boo pipes, it would be the same as Baby Luigi and Bowser interacting with the Boo pipes. It is very obvious the system heavily benefits heavyweights and picking the definitive best cart for them. If you're trying to win, you are picking at least one heavyweight every time, and you are picking the exact same cart every time. If you're playing with a bunch of sweats, it kind of ruins the competitive variety in the game. Sonic Riders, on the other hand, has a shockingly deep system with lots of variety in it. It uses a class system, speed, power, and fly. On the surface level, it seems like a very similar system to Mario Kart Double Dashes, but it goes much deeper than just weight classes. Each class can interact in a different, unique way with the environments. Speed can use grind rails, fly can use the boosters in the sky, power can break through walls in the environments. It makes each class worth picking because of this. No matter what class you pick, you're going to have a different race each time. Each class is worth picking because of this. Some classes have better advantages on other stages than others, so it's worth switching it up and picking new characters each time. On top of characters and their classes, they all have unique individual stats to them that affect each board. For example, let's say Eggman used the cover P. The standard stats for any character are shown here. These are stats given to characters like Sonic. Eggman, being a power character, has these stats. He has slightly higher power but slightly lower limit. When both characters pick a bike like the cover P, Sonic's limit is maxed out and Eggman's is brought back to normal. But because Eggman has a power base higher than Sonic's, his power is still slightly higher. It's a system that encourages experimenting and variety, which is not something a lot of multiplayer races can say for themselves. And there are a lot of different options. Bikes, boards, skates. This is all 2 years before Mario Kart Wii came out, which is the first time they introduced bikes. The racing mechanics in this game were truly ahead of their time. It has the standard acceleration and drift like most racers do, but it also introduced the air gauge, which is a boost system that slowly depletes over the course of the race. To be able to replenish this gauge, you have to either collect rings, use one of the stations across the map, or through the trick system. The trick system is pretty similar to Mario Kart Wii's, except you have a lot more variety and choice over what tricks you do. The ring system is similar to Mario Kart 8's coin system, in which when you collect more rings, you level up, you get faster, but your air gauge also increases and you can also change forms. All of these systems meld together so well and it actually makes for a game that rewards skilled players. Now, if I'm being completely honest, it's not a perfect game. Although I love the unique and diverse stats for each characters, if you're trying to figure out through this system, it's nearly impossible. This is the worst visual gauge I have ever seen in a video game, maybe ever. And although the class system provides a lot of variety and uniqueness, once you unlock Supersonic, all of that goes out the window because he can interact with every single type of course environment. Now, what if I told you there was a magical fix for all of this? Balance changes, new characters, new boards, new maps. It fixes everything wrong with the original and it makes it the closest to a perfect racing game. Sonic Riders DX. Just like the original game, this has to be one of the most underrated mods of all time. It is crazy and inspiring how driven and passionate fans can be sometimes, and this mod is absolutely no exception. They added new characters like Silver, Metal Sonic, Chaos Zero with potentially 12 more on the way. They did a lot of balance changes to the existing maps as well as adding new ones. And they made a ton of changes and balance changes to the existing class system as well as stats to individual carts. 2.0 came out recently and I cannot recommend it enough. It is one of the most fun racing games I've ever played and the tournaments for this game go insane. Unfortunately, Sonic Riders looks like it's going to stay lost to the past, carried by its fans. With seemingly no updates about the game's future, I'll keep praying it makes a comeback.